And welcome back. Some very interesting dynamics are happening right now with the U.S. housing market. Based on my own analysis of Realtor.com's data, housing inventory has been decreasing for about a month compared to the same time frame 1 year ago. Also, asking prices are also going down as well. So I'm going to provide some insights about what's happening right now regarding inventory levels, new listings, price reductions, and of course, much more in today's video. This is actually my favorite video I make for you guys each and every week. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Of course, if you guys haven't subscribed just yet, I invite you to do so because I post frequent housing market updates so you guys can make a more informed decision about whether to buy or sell a house right now. So again, here's their article from Realtor.com that was actually posted last Thursday. And again, just like my other videos, I do not even read their analysis. Instead, I actually like to look at the actual data itself and provide my own analysis. So go to realtor.com/research/data, click on this link right here. It takes you to this information. So the most recent stats they have for us is actually in mid-July. So as of July 15th to be exact. The reason why I really like their data though, or their timely updates, is that it's much more timely than other companies. So for example, the National Association of Realtors just posted last week June's numbers, but Realtor.com provides data through mid-July and actually just posted last week as well. So in any case, let's look at asking prices because asking prices decreased by 0.9% last week compared to the same time frame in 2022. Asking prices have also been decreasing year over year for the past 6 weeks in a row. Now, this is drastically different compared to December this year, for example, because back in December last year, asking prices increased by about 10 to 11%. And now again, last week, it decreased by 0.9% year over year. That actually is tied for the biggest decrease on record for data that goes back to July of 2017. That's as far back as Realtor.com's data goes. Also, as a note right here, for comparison's sake, asking prices increased by 6.7% compared to the same week of 2019. Okay, changing gears slightly here, let's talk about housing inventory or the number of houses for sale, the change compared to 1 year ago. So active listings decreased by 6.4% year over year, roughly on par with what altosresearch.com is also reporting as well. I'll share that here in just a little bit. But active listing count, which again is housing inventory, has now decreased year over year for 4 consecutive weeks. Now, this is drastically different compared to the 50 to 70% increases we saw from December last year to March this year. Now, let me just share that right here. So December 3rd, we saw an increase of 51%, and actually it peaked at around 68.8% back in late January and early February. But those gains continue through March because by the end of March, it still was up by 56%. Much different compared to the 6.4% decrease we saw last week. Also, as a comment right here, the number of houses for sale compared to 1 year ago has been mostly on a downward trend since early February from a lack of new listings. In other words, it's not filling up the bucket of housing supply. In other words, in order to increase housing supply, we have to have demand decrease or new listings increase as well. That's number one. And also number two, due to the fact that inventory was skyrocketing this time last year, in contrast, inventory this year is only slightly up year to date. I'll share a chart showing how inventory levels compare this year compared to years past, going back to 2018 from altosresearch.com here in a little bit. But just as a general snapshot right now, 1 year ago, there's approximately 525,000 houses for sale, according to Altos. And right now, or at least for the 7 days ended July 21st, there's approximately 479,000. That's a decrease of 9% year over year, or approximately 46,000 fewer houses for sale right now compared to just 12 months ago. Something worth mentioning though is that we have roughly the same number of houses for sale nationwide right now compared to the start of this year. and has been increasing slowly ever since April this year as well. One more thing that's very, very different compared to pre-pandemic levels, though, is that we have approximately 51% fewer houses for sale right now compared to the same week of 2019. Therefore, we're missing nearly 500,000 houses for sale when comparing that to pre-pandemic levels. Let me share a chart from altosresearch.com. So right now, approximately 479,000 homes for sale. This is a little bit lower compared to last year at 525,000. But at 479, this is higher than 2021 at 402,000, but still lower compared to 2020 as well as 2019. In 2019, approximately 960,000 homes for sale. Now there's only 479,000, a decrease of around 50%, or approximately 480,000 fewer houses for sale compared to the same time frame in 2019. As well as 2018 as well, though, because in early August 2018, there's around 955,000 houses for sale. I also want to provide some analysis regarding inventory levels this year. So let me just zoom in. So zooming in here, inventory levels to start the year was around 471,000. It decreased through mid-April, but has been slowly increasing ever since then. But right now at 479,000, this is roughly on par with the beginning of this year. This is night and day difference compared to what happened last year, because inventory levels last year bottomed out at the very beginning of March. Then they started skyrocketing in April, and they really skyrocketed all the way until the end of July last year. As I mentioned in previous videos, one of the main reasons why we're seeing a lack of houses for sale for existing houses, historically speaking, of course, is this right here. New listings have been decreasing by double digits, more than 9.9%, for 48 out of the past 51 weeks. We've had nearly 1 year in which new listings have been decreasing by more than 10%, which of course is absolutely insane. Last week, it decreased by 18.7% year over year. This also marks the 54th consecutive week of year-over-year decreases dating back to early July of 2022. This, of course, is causing inventory levels to remain at very low levels. Let's also have a look at how fast or how slow houses are selling in the US right now, because last week it took 10 days longer to sell a house compared to 2022 at this time. So houses are taking longer to sell compared to last year, now for a whopping 50 consecutive weeks. Again, though, this is based on closed home sales. Therefore, this column right here is a lagging indicator of our US housing market. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about the number of price drops year over year, or the percent change in the number of price reductions, is what I should say. Last week, it decreased by 27.1%. So approximately 27% fewer price reductions by home sellers compared to just 12 months ago. It actually has been decreasing year over year for 7 consecutive weeks now. Additionally, this also marks the 5th consecutive week in which the number of price drops has decreased by more than 20%. Just like the changes of housing inventory, these numbers right here are a night and day difference compared to the start this year. Because at the very beginning this year, we saw triple-digit increases in the number of price reductions. I have a couple theories regarding why is the number of price drops actually going down, whereas at the very beginning of this year, it was up by more than 100%. So in my personal opinion, it's negative since June due to 2 main reasons. Low inventory levels, in other words, we have fewer options for home buyers, leading to fewer price reductions from the last year. That's number one. Number two, price drops were skyrocketing at this time last year. In contrast, the share of price reductions is mostly flat year to date so far this year. Regarding the share of price reductions, according to altosresearch.com, on a national level, the share of price drops for the 7 days ended July 21st was approximately 34%. This has been rising very, very slowly ever since May this year, but at 34%, This is roughly on par with early January at around 36%. Also, when I zoom out, looking over the past several years here, at 34%, this is a little bit below last year's levels at 34.8%, but 34% is still higher compared to 2021 and 2020, but roughly on par with 2019 as well as 2018. All right, I know that was a lot to cover in today's video, so if you guys are still watching this video, then of course I appreciate you. But here's a summary as well as some predictions of what may lie ahead here. Number one, asking prices posted the biggest decrease on record over the past a few weeks here for data that goes back to July 2017. Also, it's been negative year over year for the past 1 month. Number two, housing inventory has decreased by 6% year over year, according to Realtor.com. This marks the fourth decrease going back to May of 2022. What's highly unusual that happened this year is that we did not see a seasonal uptick in the number of houses for sale this spring. So home sellers are holding on to their very, very low rates, especially given the fact that current rates right now are around 7%. Also, new listings have been decreasing by double digits for 48 out of the past 51 weeks. This continued lack of new supply hitting the market is causing inventory to remain at historically low levels, down by about 50% compared to the same week of 2019. Number three, the average 30-year fixed rate is around 7%, according to the Mortgage News Daily as of today, which is July 21st. 1 year ago, average rates were at 5.7%. And actually, let me just share average rates today, because when I started filming this video, they have not updated their rates. So 6.98% was actually on Friday. Let me just refresh this to see it has been updated. Yeah, 6.98% as of Friday. But I'm guessing that the average daily rate, which is on Monday, July 24th, is probably going to be around 7.01%. That's my forecast or my prediction. So with the beauty of editing, my editor will add the actual percentage right up there. I'm guessing at around 7.01%. We will see. In any case, when looking at rates 1 year ago, average rates were at 5.69%, an increase of around 1.3 percentage points for people with great credit compared to just 12 months ago. And going back to my summary right here, number four, the share of price reductions is roughly the same right now compared to last year. It's also roughly the same compared to the same week of 2018 and 2019. Number five, houses are taking longer to sell compared to 1 year ago for 50 consecutive weeks. Again, though, this is a lagging indicator of our U.S. housing market. So, number one, where are some huge changes coming ahead, given the fact that average rates are about 1.3 percentage points higher compared to 1 year ago, which, by the way, as I mentioned right here, a 1.3 percentage point increase in average rates causes a 13% decrease in buyers' purchasing power. This is something we should definitely pay attention to, because when home prices increase and rates increase, of course, that erodes buyers' ability to buy a house. And therefore, that could or should decrease home buying demand very, very soon here. Also, there's lots of challenges right now for home buyers as well. We have record low housing affordability, low inventory levels of existing houses, elevated rates, as well as the potential of a recession potential later this year or maybe even early next year. We will see. Number two, housing affordability is, of course, a very, very big issue for home buyers, especially compared to the past couple of years. Rates have more than doubled compared to 2020 and 2021. And also home prices or home sold prices are up by about 40% compared to 2020. So average mortgage rates in general have been on the rise ever since April this year. And at a national level, home sold prices have increased by about 10% year to date. That's based on my own analysis of Redfin's data. So in other words, we have rising rates and rising home prices, which of course makes housing affordability even worse. And in my personal opinion, this is not sustainable I would imagine we're going to see some fairly significant changes here in the second half of this year due to seasonality and, of course, due to housing affordability constraints. Number 3, early signs of home buying demand have been absolutely all over the place this year due to the volatility in rates. The most recent stats we have that show that applications for home loans to buy houses decreased by 21% year over year for the week ended July 14th. That's based on data from the MBA. When looking at pre-COVID levels, their purchase index, which again is a measure of the amount of people submitting applications to buy houses, is roughly on par with the lowest levels going back to 2015. In other words, demand is still very, very low. Also, Redfin's most recent data shows that pending home sales decreased by 15% from a year ago, and also new listings fell by 25%. So low demand is meeting low supply. Also, the National Association of Realtors reported on June 29th that pending home sales in May fell by 22% from May of 2022. However, in stark contrast, new home construction sales, and by the way, the US Census Bureau measures a new home sale as a contract being signed between buyer and seller. So new home sales really acts more like a pending home sale than anything else. So existing home sales or existing pending home sales decreased by 22% this May, whereas new home sales actually increased by 20%. Of course, this means that home builders are gaining an advantage here, or a competitive advantage, due to the low supply of existing houses for sale, and also due to buy downs that home builders are still offering home buyers right now. It appears our housing market is highly rate dependent, so therefore the data is ever changing. And of course, the data I share in today's video is on a national level. So real estate, of course, is local. What I'm sharing in today's video may not pertain to your neighborhood, your state, or even your region here. Number 4, home sellers and home buyers have exited the market. This has led to a dip of new listings as well as a dip of pending home sales compared to the past several years. The lack of new supply or lack of new listings for existing houses since last summer has led to inventory remaining at historical low levels, down by about 50% from 2019. If, and a big if homeowners continue to decide that now is not a good time to sell their houses, that will limit inventory levels. In my personal opinion, the direction of our US housing market will depend on inventory levels, unemployment rates, as well as mortgage rates as well. And number 5, this is a big one. I appreciate you guys watching today's video, and of course, for supporting my YouTube channel in general. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.